Welcome back to the Wacky Show, and today we are talking about the New York Rangers, a team that has become the laughingstock of the NHL recently, as they are on an absolute opposite of a tear. They are on the biggest losing, well, not streak, but losing period of time this season that they've had in a while, and they are looking horrible. They are a floundering fish that has come out of the water and doesn't know how to get back in it. And this team looks horrible, and everyone's calling them out rightfully for it. This team is a joke. They're scrambling to make a change, and they're failing at it, and it's just kind of funny to watch it all happen and crumble to the ground. So let's talk all about the New York Rex. But first, you should subscribe, because it's the season of giving, and it'll give me a smile if you do. Anyways, let's get back to the actual video. So the New York Rangers, 28 games played so far this season, 15-12 and 31 points. Not very good. I mean, for the New York Rangers standards, right? If this was like Utah, I'd be like, oh, it's a fine season. If this was the Predators, I'd be like, oh, this is worse than we thought. At least it would be better than the reality they're in. But for the New York Rangers, this is a team that just won the President's Trophy, and they are struggling big time this year. They're third in the wild card race in the East, so they're currently out of the playoffs. 19th in the NHL overall. Their last 10 games, they've been 3-7 in. And it is a bad stretch. Those three, though, that number 3 is a bit of a lie. I mean, not a lie, but, like, those 3 wins are a bit iffy on their own. So, this team is just complete shambles right now, right? Those 7 losses, too, have come from a range of teams, right? Playoff available teams like the Edmonton Oilers, teams like somewhat in the race like the St. Louis Blues, who are like at the same like 30-point level, so like a similar range team. It has come from teams up and down the spectrum of the NHL. And those 3 wins, one of them, of course, I mean, one of the losses I would like to mention was against the Flyers the day before they got one of their wins. It was a back-to-back. So against the Philadelphia Flyers, they lose 3-1 in a very, very sad defeat where the team showed no effort to win. And then against the Canadiens, the Rangers were up, I believe, 3-1. The Canadiens came back to tie it 3-3 in a horrible effort overall by the Rangers. And with the final like 15-ish, 19 seconds, something like that, within the last minute of the game, Capo Caco gets a big goal and wins it for the Rangers. But overall, their effort has been horrible, which is what's going to lead me into one of my main points over here. But this team is just it just doesn't feel like they know how to win, right? And that, I've been saying that for a while now, but I'm going to get to all my points here in a second. But what have they done recently to address this team's problems, right? So they trade away, of course, Captain Trouba, who should never have been an NHL captain in the first place. It's one of the reasons why that C is a joke in the NHL. Doesn't mean anything other than, why did he even get named captain? Like, I mean, like why? He's an idiot. Like, he's a dirty player. He makes ugly art. He's like, he does all these like things, like charitable things or whatever. But like, I don't know. Like, he's just a nutcase. So Trouba gets traded to the Anaheim Ducks for basically nothing. And now they win that cap space. They sign Shesterkin, which was one of the big things they needed to do, for $11.5 million, biggest contract for a goalie ever. And pretty nice. Like, that's a good move. First one's kind of silly. But does that change anything with this team? No. They don't. They trade Trouba away. He was a liability. He doesn't solve everything. Keandre Miller is still on the team, and also the rest of this team's big problems, which includes this list over here. So what is the problem with this team? First thing I would like to say, of course, is fugazi, which I know is an old term that Spit and Chicklets use for them, and I don't know if people really call them that anymore, but I still do, and I said it during the playoffs, said that this team is a team that doesn't know how to win those games, right? I think the Rangers are like the Maple Leafs. I think they're like the, what the hell, why can't I think of another good example right now? Well, the Maple Leafs and them, I think, are like really good examples of it, is that they're teams that are built for the regular season and not for the playoffs, right? Guys like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and all these guys on the Maple Leafs, and now here with Panarin and Zibanejad and I would say Fox, like, they just are not guys that can just play to win. If they can all feed each other pucks on the power play and just completely wreck some poor teams that have horrible defense and goaltending. They can just rip one past them. They get 100 points a season. That's fine. But when it comes to the playoffs, what happens every single year, right? They might have gotten far, but who is that to be thankful for, right? Who on Thanksgiving should the Rangers be thankful for? This man. Igor Shesterkin alone. Without him, this team isn't even close to the achievements that they've made in the recent past, right? Making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, making it seem like a decent team in the playoffs last year, right? All these little things, it is not the Rangers' fault, right? This Rangers team is solely thankful for Igor Shesterkin. Without him, Zibanejad, completely a mystery guy that comes in the playoffs. Panarin, same thing. Adam Fox, same thing. Chris Kreider does show up for the playoffs, but this season, not so much. He has 1 assist on the season. Chris Kreider, who is a top in the time on ice type of guy, 1 assist through the season. 10 goals, 1 assist. Kind of nuts, so that's the case. But regardless, so that's his numbers, right? These guys all just disappear, right? Vincent Trocheck, one of those guys that you would hope that is one of those fighter guys that no matter what is always fighting out there. He's having not such a good season. And so it's all these things on top of each other where it's they have all these big highs last year where they got to digress, but everyone did. And everyone, before the season started, said that I was an idiot for saying that I believed that they were going to. But look at me right now, right? The merchants that go on the power play every year can just suffocate one horribly defensive team, win those games because they can get those little mistakes happening, but they finally get a little bit of a fault in the road and things are going bad. Defense, on the other hand, too, is also not saving much, right? This team doesn't usually need to rely too much on their defense, I would say, but because their offense is the ones that can handle out the machine, they can let in 3 goals or give in some good chances, but Shesterkin can cover them up. But regardless, because the Rangers are usually going to score 5 goals, 3 on the power play anyways, right? So, but this year isn't the case. The offense, the power play, well, actually, the power play and penalty kill are actually doing pretty good, actually, which is kind of the weird thing. But regardless, these guys are not, the defense is not shutting down other teams, right? They're letting Shesterkin have to eat everything. So Shesterkin's numbers don't show the true case, right? Shesterkin is on the ball. His guys in front of him, from offense to defensive, defenseman, offenseman, whatever, are letting him down big time, right? This is not like a Golden Knights situation where Aiden Hill's kind of a bit of a problem, but the defense is still great in front of him. Shesterkin is not the problem. It's just everyone in front of him is just letting him have to eat over and over again. Pucks that are right in the slot. Pucks from bad angles, good angles. It's one thing after another. The game against the Canadiens, the goals that they were letting in, they were just the Rangers just suck at playing good defense, and they have been for a little while. Not so much because everyone likes to say their team's defense is great or whatever. They're not the worst, right? It's not obviously they're peewees out there playing, but it's nothing great. But the biggest show and stat that I would point to is that one, is that overall that their top 10 time on ice players, right, ranging from Fox to Panarin to Zibanejad, Kreider, and blah, 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 down the list of their top 10 time on ice guys, right? The guys who, majority of every single games, one of them, or 2 of them, or 3 of them, are on the ice at all times, combine for a minus 23. There's some pluses in there, but if you add up their totals, they come to a minus 23 time on ice for all of those guys, right? That is insane, right? I don't even, well, no, that would be a lie. But that's horrible. That is absolutely horrible. So for this team, is it over, right? Is their season over and everything is just out the shambles, out the window? This team sucks. What, is this the end for the New York Rangers? No. Can they still make the playoffs? Of course. They are 1 point behind the wild card race. They have 31 points. The Flyers, and I can't remember right now who's in the first wild card, but both of them have 32 points. I think it's the Lightning. 32 points for those guys, right? They're 1 point behind. Of course, they can get into the playoffs, right? Then, of course, this is probably their lowest point of the season, right? It's like the stock, like the economy, like nature, like everything of life. Things go up, things go down. You got to go up to go down. This is their lowest point, so they're going to go up eventually, and things will even out again, and they will be fine, and they will probably make the playoffs, I think. If they don't, that would be huge. But I think they make the playoffs. But here's the thing with this big but that I've got down here, right? The thing about it is, regardless if they make it in the playoffs or they don't, I believe the same thing will happen is they don't win the Stanley Cup, and that's kind of what they're in for, right? This team with Panarin, he's looking for his cup. Zibanejad, Shesterkin, all these guys are looking for their Stanley Cup that they never got. Chris Kreider, who's been on this team since the freaking Henrik Lundqvist days, right? Looking for that Stanley Cup with the blue shirts, right? They're not getting it. This team is not built for the playoffs. This team is going to lose regardless. Is going to be in this team. And they don't probably care, the front office, right? This team probably still gets tons of money every single second that they exist. So they don't really care. The players are the ones that care, and guess what? They're not showing up to play. What does this team do to change any of this? I don't know. With the rumblings of Brady Tkachuk or JT Miller, they clearly want one of these like scrappy, like hard-nosed guys that are going to just rush to the front of the net, punch someone in the face, whatever, right? And I think Brady Tkachuk would be nice. I think he's like his brother and could be a huge player, a bigger influence in the NHL. I just don't think with the Senators he's really that kind of guy. I think on the Rangers he would fit in like that true like American boy, like yeah, fight for what's right or whatever the hell. I think would work out. But I think regardless if they add that guy or not, that is what they need for the playoffs, right? That is definitely, like, look at the Panthers, right? They have those scrappy guys that fight for Bennett and Tkachuk and for even, like, all of them. I'd say for Hagee and stuff, too. Like, they are all fighting to win games, too. The Rangers need a little bit of that in their lineup. But one guy, like Brady Tkachuk, Trocheck's their one guy they have right now, but he's not doing too much good this year. Is he going to turn things around? It's possible. So do they add one of those guys, and does that change everything? I think it does. I think it does liken their odds if they can get a Tkachuk or a JT Miller. Especially Miller. I think he would really dominate with the Rangers. But are they still better than the other teams that they'd have to play against? I mean, they almost beat the Panthers. Almost. With just Shesterkin. If they had that little bit of an edge, would they change things? With Will Cooley being a great player, Capo being a little bit better than he usually is, like there's a little bit more of a fighter, like grindy aspect. Maybe. Just maybe. But it's still slim. So I don't know what to think about that. I think regardless of any outcome this season, they don't win the Stanley Cup. I do not think it's the Rangers' year, even if they turn things around or whatever. So that is all I got to say. So thank you for watching this. If you made it this far, please, I'm begging you, please subscribe. It's Christmas time. And until next time, too sweet. I hope you have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.